There is so much to learn in this world. But the question is, are we still learning in the same ways that we always have? Or does this time, this moment in history call for something different? What is the enduring value of higher education? And how is technology challenging that value that so many of us have taken advantage of? Tonight on The Rundown, we're going to talk about that and so much more. Stay tuned. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Rundown. I'm in my happy place because I'm with my friends. Hey, Tamara, how are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to be here for this conversation.
I'm excited to be here, too. There's at least one person on this panel who told me before we were here that they did not complete college and they have something to say about this. So your challenge, everyone out there watching, which of these good-looking folks did not finish college? But before we do that, let's say hello to Sky. How you doing, Sky?
I am outside in amazing 8 hours of great weather in Seattle.
It is gorgeous behind you.
We are very blessed here in the Pacific Northwest. When you hear me say PNW, that's my shorthand for great smell in the air.
Now tell everyone
and it's not smoke coming from Canada.
We're getting that down in Florida now. Oh no, that's the dust from the Sahara. Sorry, we're getting something over here. But tell everyone, you told us before, the name of the body of water behind you? Lake
Ballinger, and it's just north of Seattle, and it's a little piece of heaven.
Love it.
It really is. We're very fortunate to be living here.
Very fortunate to have you with us to share that.
And
let's say hi to Lois. Hi, Lois.
Hello from California. Good evening, good day, good night, whatever.
Good night, good day, good evening.
Summer.
How are you today?
I'm very good.
Yeah?
I'm very good. And we have settled into our 92 degree for the next week. So that's about normal for our summer, and I'm happy.
I love it. Love it. I also love that our dear friend Dave is back. Dave was not here last week. He wasn't feeling well. How are you feeling, Dave?
I am feeling wonderful. Fully pretty much recovered. A little lingering cough, but I don't have it all the time. And yeah, it was an ordeal, but I'm through it. And,
are we allowed to ask what you had, what you were suffering from?
Oh, I had COVID.
You got the COVID.
Yeah, I'm fully vaxxed, and I was a no-vid up until then because I'd been through the whole pandemic without any trouble. No.
Whoa.
And then my son comes from Japan and brings it back, and both my wife and I got it from him. So.
Oh my goodness. I got it the first summer. And it was awful.
Horrible.
I mean, thank God I was fine, but it was awful. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so glad
So
you're
I
feeling
don't
better.
recommend it to anybody. Don't get it.
I'm
That's for sure.
with you. I don't do that either. Especially not to my good friend Tony Mobley. Hey Tony.
Hello, David. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to see you here. What's going on? Anything new in your neck of the woods?
I just got through teaching a lesson from Acts 18, verses 1 through 28.
Is it good stuff? I'm not familiar with Acts.
It's very good stuff. It really sort of talks about the importance of when you have disputes in the church, how to work through them and try to get past some of those things. And it also talks about Paul's message to the world.
Love that. Beautiful. So good to see all of you here. So a quick personal update. So 3 weeks ago, I told her that I had fallen in love with Lovable. And then a week later, that's the AI coding app. And a week later, I told you I'm done. I've reached my limit. I can't do it. Oh my God. I'm back in it. I'm back in it. I'm so deep now. So I have 2 apps that I'm working on now. It's not the AI, by the way. The AI is the frustrating part. What's addicting to me about it is the idea that is the generative part. It's the idea that I can create something. You know, it's I mean, Tony will appreciate this. It's like the creation of the world, right? That God created the whole world with just words, right? It's that we could just take words and it creates, I don't know, there's something really addictive to me. I get why developers do what they do. It's grueling. I can't even imagine the amount of time and energy that they put in, but wow.
You play music, don't you, David?
Yeah.
Don't you compare this to music? You are still discovering your skills and your fingering. You didn't have all the frets figured out in the first setting, did you? No?
No.
Different
You know what, Sky?
Okay.
You know what's different is with music, I was learning and I was growing. With this, I really still feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. Every time I do it, it feels like it's throwing spaghetti at the wall. And in fact, I can tell you that I'm in a good mood right now because literally 10 minutes before we went live, I had one lingering bug that I couldn't get, no matter how I asked it, I couldn't get it to fix. And I finally asked in the right way and it fixed it. And so it really does still feel like throwing spaghetti against the wall because I don't know what I'm doing. If I were learning coding, then it would be different. And I
reminds me of Tamara probably on a set yelling at her actors. Why don't you do what I say? I see in my head.
That's so funny.
I'm
Maybe
pretty
it is
sure
like
that is not me, but
so
I think though, David, that it is addicting, right? It is
Yeah.
addicting to kind of go figure out. I love figuring out the puzzle of everything. So that's it. But I think some of your frustration comes in the fact that it is so easy on some level.
Yeah.
Like it is so instant. So we kind of then have expectations. If it can give me this so quickly, how come it can't do this so quickly?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It feels very haphazard. It really does. And here's I'll tell you just the one lesson that I have not learned from this because I keep learning it over and over and over again in my tech journey. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yep.
Keep it simple. Every time I start a project like this, it gets so complex and so out of hand. And then I, at some point, scale it way back and it just works and it's beautiful. So for what it's worth, keep it simple because you're going to need to save that money that you might spend on something elaborate and confusing. Save that money for next week because we've got some news coming next week. Yeah. Where's my stinger? My stinger didn't go. Okay, I'll just make the noise myself. Right? Dun 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 dun. Wait, that was I actually did that stinger pretty good all by myself.
That's
a stinger?
Who needs technology? Yeah, that's
That
a
was
stinger. What do you mean
technology,
what's a stinger? Why didn't my stinger work? Oh, well, in any case. News. Let's talk about it. Next week, I've got only one story up here for us. Next week is WWDC 25, the Worldwide Developers Conference from Apple. Let's just put it on the table. What are we all looking at? What are we all hoping for? What's on people's minds? I'll get you started. I don't care about hardware anymore. I just don't. The iPhone is great for me. It doesn't need to be any better. I'm really excited about the redesign of their software.
Interfaces.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I love Apple interfaces, but I think it's time, and I love a fresh coat of paint. And apparently, they're doing more than just paint.
I love a good rounded corner.
Do you remember Tron 2, the movie? When they got up there and they said, "Oh, we're doing something very exciting this year. We're changing the naming of our product to 12." And that's what we're doing again, is now the operating systems are going to be named after the year.
Which is why the name of the thing is WWDC 25. I have a feeling that's why they named it this, to get us ready, because now it's going to be OS 25 and iOS 25 and what have you.
I don't love
a new can of paint,
but I do love the idea of this, because every time I ask somebody what OS are you on, then I have to go back and look at when it came out and all that. So I think this is actually a really good step, even though I like the names the way they are now, but I'm excited about that.
Rounded 25 corners, is also referred to as Pasadena.
Rounded corners, layered transparency, more unified layout that draws inspiration from the look of Vision OS, which I have never really seen in any depth.
You have to try it.
Yeah?
You have to try it. No, you got to go to the Apple store, get an appointment, get the 35, 40-minute demo.
All right, I'll do that, but talk to me about
the future of computing.
But talk to me about the UI. Is the UI significantly different? Is it better? Is it?
It is totally better.
Really?
You don't move your hands. Now, you train yourself to do just this. And you have them in your lap. Your hands can be on a table or in your lap. And there's cameras looking straight down at your fingers.
Oh, well, that's not. But that's not.
And then you're just but you're mousing around with your eyes, not your fingers.
Right.
So you look at something and the mouse goes there.
Right. But what I'm curious about is
it's a whole lot faster than moving with trackpad.
Right. But what I'm curious about is, what does the interface look like? Does the interface look significantly different than, if I take this
like
down,
Mac
right?
OS.
So here's the Apple
Mac
interface,
OS,
right? I've got my menu bar at the bottom, or my launch, whatever you call it, and
right. That's the
right. Is this going to change all
this
stuff?
And the dock is irrelevant in a 3D environment. So
no. But you're still talking about Vision OS. I'm not going to have Vision OS. What they're saying is that Vision OS is going to influence all these other things. So how is this going to look different? It said rounded corners. These already look rounded to me.
Well, and in Vision OS, it's circles. All the icons are circles.
Oh, I don't like that. I like rounded corners.
Well,
I've made so many icons with rounded corners.
Okay,
now I'm going to change
rounded
them.
corners will work too, but we'll see how much Vision is influenced by the new Mac. Yeah.
Interesting.
So when is this event happening?
It is Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. You can watch it on the Apple website. You can watch it on YouTube. I'm sure, I'm actually not sure, but I would imagine that there'll be some sort of watch party or watch along over in office hours. Forgive me for not knowing that for sure.
You can watch it on your Android.
Yes.
Yes, you can. They used to do it on Tuesdays, but recently they moved it to Mondays.
So this is the invitation, or the right. So you've got
we're back to the Jolly Rancher colors, are we? Is this how
so we've got some color, right? Yeah. Which either is seeping up or draining out of the apple, one of the two. We're not sure.
It slides across in the animation, so it doesn't disappear.
Right, and it does. Yes, the animation. This is just a static image. But when you look at the animation, the colors move.
But David, you got an invitation?
No, I'm on Apple Insider's
This is
website.
an image of the invitation.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Oh, I thought you were special.
No, I
You're
got
not.
literally
Okay.
nothing.
Well, he is special. We grant that.
No, I'm not special at all. What do you think they're going to say about AI?
Nothing.
Really?
Don't
Well,
you?
I think they're going to show
they
you
have
things
to.
that have it integrated, but I don't think they're going to talk about AI per se.
Oh, I think they have to. I think they have to. Whether they should or not, whether they're ready to or not, I don't think they have a choice. I think every other company on the planet, that's all they're talking about is AI. That's all the world is talking about is AI. And if Apple doesn't,
it might be their strategic partnerships.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's their
Sure,
partnerships.
that's easy. Yeah, that's easy.
I don't think they want to go down the road by accident again like they did before. I think they're going to talk about partnerships.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Their own.
Does anybody remember the announcement of the gesture and the watch?
the gesture and the watch.
You had taps and it understood gestures.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I love
so
that.
You're halfway
actually
there to the Vision Pro.
So when I get a notification on my watch, I can double up. See there, I just did it. You can't see
just tap
anything,
it.
but
yeah,
it's actually pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. Now, if you have a watch and a Vision Pro, you're way ahead of the game.
I will say, this was the last piece of Apple gear that I didn't have prior to Vision OS. I did not get it for years because I had no need for it. I finally gave in and got it. Guess what? I have no need for it.
Can't live without it.
No,
it's my
I have no
favorite thing ever. I did too. I waited till 9. I mean, that's how much I was like, I definitely don't need this. And then I got it and I was like, 10-year-old Tamara who was like,
Tamara, you said I was your favorite thing. Okay.
I love it.
I don't use it for any.
If I could just
your old news
back on.
Right. What's up, Tony?
I am so 10 minutes ago.
I just wanted to piggyback on the fact that the Apple Watch can be a lifesaver. It was for me.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Not too long ago, a couple of months ago, and it immediately contacted services, and they stayed on the line with me. And it was one of those strange occasions when I didn't have my phone with me. All I had was the watch. And when I fell, the person stayed on the phone with me, stayed on the watch with me. It was amazing. I would encourage anybody, if they can, to give their grandpa, grandma, anybody who might fall, an Apple Watch.
No, that's a really good. Yeah, Tony, what is it? Were you talking to? This is a dumb question. Forgive me. Were you talking to someone from Apple, or do they? Is there a service that they partner with? How does that work? Do you know?
They actually call emergency services in my local area.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So
I wasn't sure if it was a monitoring center or something like that.
No, it's emergency services, and one of the good things, one of the new features is if you're out somewhere and you fall and you are not in cell coverage, my watch will connect to a satellite and tell someone I need help.
You know what's going to happen eventually is they're just going to send a robot to pick you up. I mean,
a little drone. Well, a big drone.
Drone's going to fly over and just lift you up. Yeah.
Well, they can locate you because the watch tells them the
GPS
the location. Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get any hardware on Monday?
I'm kind of thinking they'll surprise us with the Mac Pro. Like we've got the Ultra, we've got the Studio, but nobody's talking about the Mac Pro. And if they're going to do a Mac interface, they may as well go to the Mac Pro first and then layer it down to the iPad and all the rest. So
why did they walk away from the car?
Yeah, they did a while ago.
Have you tried making a car? It's hard.
Turns out.
You talk about sourcing pieces. Cars are made from everywhere.
Have you tried to sit on top of $750 billion? Well, Apple did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been in a 747. Yeah, okay.
So then the system-wide design is called Solarium. I actually think that's old. I think they changed the name, and it says it's going to bring consistent visual changes across iOS 26, macOS 26, iPadOS 26, and I'm already frustrated because it's not 26, it's 25. And I mean, I know that they want to be all forward
26.
thinking, but
it is 26. They're doing it like you do with cars.
no, I know that.
So
and that's frustrating to me because it's very confusing.
You're okay with the 2026 Jeep, but you don't like it on your desktop. Okay, I get
No,
you.
I don't. It's 2020. Just get with the.
I agree with that. I kind of would like it to match the year.
When the software comes out, it'll be September. And so the year is almost over.
September of
2025.
Thank you. Exactly.
But then you're not late, you're early. That's all we are.
I'm always late. Someone on this panel, other than me, has a problem.
Help.
And we are here for you. Lois Richter, talk to us. Let us help you.
We're here for you.
Okay. So America has always been segmented and stereotyped. Think of a housewife in a small town, or a college student, or a corporate worker in a high rise, or a farm family. And we all have images of what each of these are like. And most of the time, those images are wrong. Lumping all people in one group who share one characteristic and assuming that they are all the same in all their characteristics is stereotyping, but most people do it. So is our reliance on AI for research exacerbating this human failure or not? Can we make it so that the AI help is more variations and less stereotyping, or are we stuck with what we get?
I want to hear what everyone has to say here. I'll just start us off by saying that I'm teaching this class on Judaism and artificial intelligence. And one of the things that we talked about on Wednesday, yesterday, was this idea of garbage in, garbage out. That all AI is, all technology is a mirror to who we are and what we are. It can, at this point at least, and we're nearing a change in this, but at this point, it really just spits back at us what we give it, albeit in different forms and different variations. And so, is AI for research exacerbating? I would say yes. Because all AI is doing is amplifying what we already put out into the world. But let me get Dave and some other voices in real quick, if that's okay, Lois.
Well, yeah, my feeling is that AI is not yet fully formed. We're looking at a toddler learning to crawl, and its expression of the world is pretty muddled. It thinks it knows everything, but it doesn't yet. And we're going to have stereotypes until such time as somebody wants to get past that. Sherry Turkle wrote a book called The Second Self, in which programmers discovered that the world they thought lived inside the computer was actually, as David says, a reflection of who they were. And that's the second self they came across, is this person who is the real Dave, not the programmer Dave, or the face Dave puts on when he goes to college. So this kind of thing is happening in AI too. It's reflecting us the same way our iPad does, and the same way a lot of other things we have do. I would say it extends us, and it's where we want to put that energy that's going to bring back things like breaking stereotypes. I live in a country which is stereotyped really strongly, and everybody thinks they understand what it's like to live here, and they don't. And the same with Norway. I have a lot of affinity for a friend of mine in Norway who is, still yet getting out of the snow. So for all you people so happy it's summer, he's got endless sunshine still, but he's got snow on the ground. So these stereotypes of what it comes down to Santa Claus almost. It's the media creates these stereotypes in order to sort of code their messages to make it easier for them to deliver the message and get a message across. And the advertising that associates with many media have the same relevance, is they want to connect you to something rather quickly so they can get their message to you. And so they rely on a stereotype. And it was stereotyped that black people are lazy, or that Irishmen weren't to be trusted, or that women were inferior. We have these stereotypes. We break them down all the time, and they break when we see a better reality or a more civilized society. So once AI makes civilization again, we'll all get along fine.
Sky, go ahead.
Well, I was listening into the moment, and I'm currently reading a book called Practicing the Way. It's allowing me to reflect on myself. I talked about it last week, but he really hit it on way in the middle of the book, page 114, talking about that we come from an industrial society, and that's why when you talking about Judaism and the combination of today's traditions and habits, and then Tony talking about the people in Acts and their traditions and habits. Well, I kind of hear the same theme running through this. We are now moving from an industrial environment, world, tradition into a digital world. And the digital pitch was that things would get easier, faster, and you'd be in control, which is all of it is marketing, to Dave's point. In many ways, there are some things that do get faster. There are some things that might get easier, but the fallacy is that you will get more control. And the premise by John Mark Comer is, in reality, formation of a human. He has a particular focus of what his focus is about what a human should be focusing on. But his construct, in reality, life is hard, slow, and we are not in control. So this is, I'm starting to hear a theme here.
Is this helping, Lois?
I think one of the other issues is that the AI has been trained on everything that is out there now, and predominant stereotypes are in the things that trained these models. So unless we are proactive in training it in a diverse way and proactive in asking it to challenge the assumptions of stereotypical behavior, then we're going to continue to get stereotypes from AI.
I was hoping, because when I asked a question and I got back some information, and I'm using rabbithole.chat. That's my preferred method at this time. And I got back information gleaned from a bunch of different sources. And so it didn't just take the most prominent one or the most oftenly quoted one or whatever. It gave me a bunch of different sources, which is why I was hoping that could give me more a range of things rather than just focusing on a stereotype. Now, maybe that's optimistic.
It's okay to be optimistic.
Yeah.
I give you permission from here. And
But you are Canadian.
More of it. Well, that's given.
Norwegian Canadian.
But again, taking multiple sources with the same stereotype are going to continue to deliver a stereotype. The fact that it's willing to pull from more sources means that if there's more sources out there to show the diversity, then it will. But if 5 sources are pulled and 4 sources are the same stereotype, then it's going to perpetuate the stereotype.
And, LLMs return the next best possible word, right? Now, how does it determine what is the next best possible word? It's reading what we decided were the next best possible words.
You keep saying we, and I didn't decide it, darn it.
No, we all have.
It's like,
No,
it's
we
like
all. No, Louis, what I'm
going
saying
to
is,
read the encyclopedia, and those are my words. They're not my words.
well, I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, true, you didn't write them, of course. You nor did I. But what makes something meaningful in society is that society chooses it to be meaningful. And that is to say, there are lots of books that have millions of books that have been written. The ones that we all talk about, the Bible, Catcher in the Rye, whatever those books are, The reason we talk about them is because we talk about them. And it's because we've chosen them as our books. You and I, even though we didn't write it, chose the encyclopedia as one of our books. And so it is ours. And we did do it.
Okay, so we're going to have a teacher class on beginning genealogy in our club, and we're working on trying to find the best tutorials online that we can recommend to our people who come. So I ask, show me the top 10 or the 10 best or whatever beginning genealogy videos. And what I got back was a list of 10 things, and a lot of it was schlock. But it was in there because that person had said over and over and over on their videos, I'm teaching you the best information about beginning genealogy. So the fact that they self-promoted means that I got it as, oh, this is good.
Well, that's no
Wasn't
different. I mean,
good.
that's how Google's algorithm,
Right.
to a certain extent works. I mean, except the difference being that it relies on external links. I don't actually know anything about Google's algorithm other than what I've seen on YouTube, but
No, that's
assuming that
close.
those are correct, right? It's how many different places link to that. And so, again, we're choosing what works. If that guy who said, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best, then you know what? Good on him. It worked.
It was the AI that said this is the best.
I think the real question is, should we be relying on AI to create our social norms? And the answer to that is we should be teaching people how to analyze what the results are and make informed decisions based on their own research.
I actually don't think that humans are any better than AI as far as avoiding stereotypes. I think we pick what stereotypes fit our own political beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever they are, whatever beliefs we have, and run with it.
But you could engineer a prompt that says, give me back this information. Now challenge the stereotypes in this information and find other information.
Right.
So
in the
that
style
way
of
you can, yeah.
That's
in the style of Socrates.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
you
throw
Hemingway
critical,
or-
right.
throw critical thinking at it.
Using LLMs to help us think more critically by challenging the very things that we
Yes.
put. That's
Exactly.
fantastic. Yeah, I agree.
That's taking control.
That is
Oh,
taking control.
for
Yeah.
the win, Dave,
We
for the
win.
win.
You're solved.
Yeah. So Lois, what I would say is when you see that stuff, when you are fed back that stuff that you believe to be weighted one way or the other, or just parroting these awful things, I would challenge the LLM, to be honest with you. I'd get into, that's what I would do. I would get into a debate with you because remember, you're also teaching the LLM how to respond to you in the future. So if you give it that feedback, it will learn this is not what I want. I don't want you to just,
Well, since we're trying to get a set of links, I simply went and looked at all of them and went, okay, I could do better than that. Okay, what? This is ridiculous. So I'm going to pick and choose which of those I think should be included. And if I'd only get 3 out of that, well, I'll probably do some more research.
And that sounds familiar with my son and building his little shed in his backyard. He said, "Oh, I had to go through 50 YouTube videos because 80% of them were crap."
Right.
But you don't know that. And
Until you
again,
look.
until you look, and then but that he swung a hammer made me happy, that he built a shed in the backyard made me happy. But more importantly is when things didn't go right, he said, okay, good enough, because he had somehow pinned himself into being a perfectionist and wouldn't allow himself to move forward. So that you are moving forward is awesome. The thought that also bubbles into my mind is this is the cost of free. Historically, you would have gone someplace, you would have paid somebody to curate the knowledge and information. And so now you are mining this information, you're putting critical thinking towards it, which you have. And David just blessed you with the opportunity to say no.
No, and it's like education, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, what?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes
like
we
a
go to
segue.
people who actually are experts in the subject, and they usually are doing research in universities, and they're in the higher education area because they are experts in their field, and we want them to be true. But I've met a couple of experts that were a little hard to understand.
Here's what's interesting, though. So, first of all, an expert is an entirely different beast than someone who can teach what they know. Just because
Oh,
you
yeah.
know a lot
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can actually. But I think
Exactly.
Brody is really right. Is that and this is good. This really leads into the main conversation for today, which is that what expert means is changing. The definition of an expert is changing. I don't know that it's going to mean anymore, I know all of the information. I am the holder, the keeper of the right. It's in education, it's the sage on the stage versus the guide on the side. The real wisdom is no longer going to be, I know everything. It's going to be, I can curate this for you. I can filter, help you filter this.
Help you
And-
find it. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Like
help
a
you be
librarian.
critical about it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I appreciate about librarians. They don't have to read every book to know all about how to get the right book. They know the categories and they know how to structure the knowledge, and then they point you in the right direction. It's up to you to read the book. I think we're the same way with education. We're pointing people in the direction of how to find out more information. And if you graduate from college or you get a PhD, you're pretty good at research.
Yeah, so, and to that point, you're pretty good at research is John's comment here, which is, he really is spot on. The real problem is that using AI as a shortcut, we skip the important levels of wisdom that are gained through experience. Not a problem this generation, but we quickly adapt to convenience. And he's absolutely right. AI feeds into, or technology writ large, feeds into, give me the answer quickly and easily. And I don't
Or any
care about
answer.
the answer. I care about what it took to get the answer.
That's why
And
rabbit
stop
hole
at the
works really
first
well.
answer.
You know?
That's one of the
Yeah,
reasons. Yes, that's one of the reasons rabbit hole is really interesting, because rabbit hole itself is an AI exercise in asking new questions and following different paths. Watch Palantir's recent conference on agentic AI. Even if you disagree with them, they do a great job of keeping humans in the loop to continuously train their systems. Nice. And they also get lots of people really angry at them and storm the stage and interrupt their conferences. I don't know if you all saw that, but yeah, good stuff. Sorry, I stepped on someone Tony, who was, or no, it was Lois. You were going to say something, Lois. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I think that you have helped me enough. I think we can be done with our help.
Lois is done. Lois is cooked.
Well, I want to talk about
She's fixed.
college.
AI, yeah, not AI. Sorry, college, higher education. All right, so let's do that. Let's jump into the main topic for today. So, that, by the way, I just want to say, I surprise myself every week that there's so much to talk about, like so much. I don't think we've repeated a time, and there's plenty that we should repeat, but it's just
What does the word kibitz mean?
yeah. Talk. So, technology in higher education, is college still worth it in the digital age? Now, I could start by making the argument that having nothing to do, having little to do with technology, college may not be worth it for lots of different reasons. I have 3 daughters. One of them graduated college. Actually, she never really did graduate college because she graduated in 2020 and when everything was shut down from COVID. So she missed all of that. But she finished college in 2020. I am still paying off that debt. I have a second one who's in college now. I'm getting ready to pay off that debt. And I've got a third one that's on her way to college in a couple of years. I don't know how I'm going to handle that debt. So just debt alone, I think, may be an argument against college. But today we really want to focus on technology and how the digital revolution, and Sky, you said it before, when we went from the industrial to the digital revolution, really has changed what we need to learn, how we need to learn, why we need to learn the things that we're learning. And I'll just put this last thing out there and then I'll be quiet. I'm not sure that in a world where we don't even know what we need to know for the future, how following a set curriculum through college is setting us up for success. We don't even know what the right questions to ask are. We don't know what skills are going to be vital in the next century. How can a set curriculum in a university possibly get us to where we're going?
And that's the end of the show. The music swells. and the
No.
people walking.
That's
Prove
not
me
a
wrong.
new question, though.
Prove me wrong. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong.
That felt like, wow.
Well, I will.
So let's define what we're talking about here. We're talking about university. We're not talking about learning how to do a physical thing. We're not talking about
Not a
anything
trade
that-
school, right?
not a trade
Right.
school, and not something that is human based, but we're talking about philosophy, theology, writing computer codes, mental permutations, whatever. Is that accurate, David?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
We're talking about
good.
liberal arts education.
Sure.
Right.
All right.
Dave, what
Well,
do
I'll
you think?
start.
Dave, go.
My very favorite book next to Marshall McLuhan is The Encyclopedia of Ignorance. It's a book written by the leading lights in every scientific field that says, when I'm finished my research and I learn something and I get it going, I realize all the things I don't know.
Mhm.
And the more you find out about something, the more questions you have about it. You learn about, I don't know, hydraulic dynamics. And then you go, well, yeah, but that's like the ocean. And then you go, oh, okay. And then you find out there's billions of stars, not just the ones you can see. And then you go, oh, well, I didn't know that either. And these things lead us to the next thing. And I think when you talk about education, I hear you talking about it as though it's a consumed thing. That you're a consumer of education. And I have fought against that, 20 years about now. Every time I hear that, I try and call it out, because we are not consumers of the information. We're learning to use or get or find or create the information. And we get it from learning to do that. We've been talking about being critical analysis and critical awareness for months. Well, how many months we've been doing this? 3 or 4? And it comes up every week that we need to be, critically smart about things. And when you go to higher education, the whole point is to learn to think about that, not to read all the books and regurgitate what was there or become expert in a subject. You're there to learn to think and think at high levels, which is why we call it higher education.
And how's that
So
going for us?
I'm all for that, because higher education, as I've worked in it for a long time, supporting it in the Faculty of Education, actually, they adopted technology every time it came across. The printing press, the radio, the TV, they've tried everything, and some of it sticks and some of it works really well. They were some of the first to pick up laser discs and CD-ROMs before anybody had them in their home. And they try this stuff out to learn ways of getting people to think, but they don't do it to teach phys ed.
But so how's that going for us?
It's doing pretty good.
Oh, I don't
think.
know about
the
that.
assistive technologies that I see the handicapped people using is a direct result of adopting it early and adapting your teaching to
Yeah,
it.
and they're being developed by people who never went to college.
Oh, well, no, a lot of them did, because they're engineers.
Not every engineer goes to college.
How do you become an engineer without going to college? You have to be certified.
No, you don't. Look at
Yes, you do. You get the ring when you graduate, and then you get certified to be an engineer in the engineering.
Companies care less and less about whether you have a degree, and more about your soft skills and your trade skills and
right.
If you're a
how to solve
coder,
problems. It's not about knowing the knowledge; it's about solving the problems.
I mean, my
and
sister-in-law
good engineers can solve problems.
My sister-in-law doesn't have a degree in coding or anything, and she works at Google.
Sure.
But she's
because
not
she
an
can solve
engineer.
problems.
She is an
doesn't have to
engineer.
be
She absolutely is an engineer.
right. But you're talking again about consuming it as a role, and it's not. It's about learning.
Well, the confusion is Dave's talking about an engineer with a degree that is engineering, but in marketing, I worked for Microsoft. And because I had to go in through a hiring agency, I was referred to as a programmer. I don't know how to program, but it was the title I was given because that was the box they could pay me through.
Mhm.
So I was a video editor, but their box in their payroll was program engineer or something. I have no idea what it is, but it wasn't the skill that I brought to the party. So yes, there is confusion there. And since I've got the I love John Snyder coming from where he's coming from, and in listening to Tony and again your history, Dave, for some reason Ecclesiastes comes to mind. People trying to figure a thing out and teaching those younger people behind them how to live life better. And so, why is higher education? I'm not against it. There's reason for social opportunities. There's communications and connections that colleges, local colleges, higher, bigger degree. I mean, bigger locations and a collection of brains and equipment and tools. That all has a value. This is the challenge, isn't it? Though a lot of the knowledge and wisdom is now, like Lois found out, available because somebody said it was the best 20 times, and all of a sudden that's what showed up in her feed.
Right.
So there's again more confusion about what is an engineer, what is education, and are we solving the same problem they were 4,000 years ago?
I want to bring back something that John wrote earlier. He said, university also represents the first opportunity many people have to be exposed to worldviews different than their own in a safe environment. Well, yeah, you can point and jump but first of all, I think that we surround ourselves with people who share our worldviews, whether that's digitally or in the real world. And second of all, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not really safe anymore to have divergent views, to have different views on college campuses. In many, many ways, it's if you don't fit the liberal arts sort of mold, which by the way, I was a part of. I mean, I went to a liberal arts school. I loved it. I went to Brandeis University. I'm a university kid. I'm not, and I know, Dave, that you're saying that we're not consumers of education, but I'm sorry, if I'm paying $60,000 a year or $20,000 or $5,000 a year, I am a consumer of education. I am a consumer.
What's the promise? What's the promise you're buying? You're spending that money on. You spend that on a car, you hopefully have a few miles on it. What's the promise you're thinking you're buying, Dad?
So
what do I think? I think I'm buying access to, again, these owners of knowledge. Ooh. I think that's what the universities think.
So there's so much to say.
Hold on. I think where you're coming from is a lot of what this discussion is about. Obviously, David has one experience. I have a totally different experience. I came from backwoods Michigan, a little town. The town I grew up in was smaller than the high school I went to when I came to California. We're talking tiny. I came to California. Then I went to the university. Yes, I met a lot of people I would never have met when I was growing up. I was exposed to lots of different ideas.
You mean like here in Zoom?
I wouldn't have even thought about.
You mean like here?
Well, like Zoom. Here.
More than that, though.
But what I'm saying is, it changed how my life went because I went to that college. Now, I could have read books, but I wouldn't have known what books to read. I could have done all these other things. I could have. But when I went to college, I saw more than I had ever seen before. I learned more, and it wasn't mostly facts. It was mostly how other people were, how to think, how to figure things out. I'm a smart person. I never graduated from college because I found what I wanted to do before I finished. And I figured, well, if I ever need it, I'll go back and get it. Haven't needed it yet. But the fact of going to college is empowering. And I think that that is going to continue to be empowering. Now, does it mean that the people who are hiring are going to say, "Oh, I want this degree"? That doesn't really matter. It
The
matters that
people who are hiring are having a hard enough time trying to figure out what work means right now.
Yep.
So I don't think that has to do with college. I'm getting like so agitated with this conversation today. I'm the daughter of a mechanic,
You're
and
welcome.
both my mom and dad, no one in my family graduated. I'm the first to go to college, first to graduate. I was a liberal arts major. I'm a 3-time English major. I basically a degree that they're now trying to say is not an important degree, except that on my resume it says I can read. But the things that I got out of college were stupid things you wouldn't think about, things that knowing that people function differently than you function. And we're talking about it in an intellectual standpoint. But when people live on college, they learn things like, oh, this is the kind of detergent that my roommate uses, which is different than what my family grew up with. And it's where you start to make decisions about who the kind of adult and grown up that you're going to be. The heartbreaking part about this conversation is the money part, because what the argument is right now is that people who don't have money should not go to college, and people who do should. And so that's one of the biggest problems that we have here, is that college has become cost prohibitive. If it wasn't cost prohibitive, we wouldn't be going, let's dollar and cents whether or not the investment is worth it. I am still paying off my student loans. I will never pay off my student loans. I will not own a house. And I would never give up having gone to college to have a house.
But Tamara, I'm wondering if I hear all of that, and of course I agree with you. I mean, I had the same experience in college. Nothing that I got out of my university experience was as rich as learning how to navigate with my roommates and
Right.
working in the different clubs on campus. Absolutely. But because of the last piece of what you said, the financial piece, the fact that please God, you will have a home. But the fact that so many people struggle with debt, that I'm struggling with, that you're struggling with the debt, I can't help but ask the question: does technology change the equation? Do the new tools that we have, the new access that we have, the new ways to learn, ways to grow that we have, does it change the equation at all? Tony, go for it. We can't hear you, Tony.
I said, like Tamara, this is a difficult conversation for me as well, for a lot of different reasons. But one of the things that I want to point out is, and I think I've said this before, there's a difference between being educated and being trained. And I think we have to ask the question, what is our motivation for going to college? Is it to be trained, or is it to be educated? And the reason I say that is because if you are trained, then you operate in terms of the training. You are limited by the training. The only thing that you can do is the training. If you're educated,
Yes.
then there is no limit to what you can do.
Correct.
And there are some institutions that are better at it than others. The other thing that I want to say is that college may be for certain people. Some people go to college just to be able to network. They go to a specific school because their ancestors went to that school, and because they are going to form lifelong friendships and connections, and they are going to be able to utilize those connections and relationships for the rest of their lives. And not only the rest of their lives, but their um, children and grandchildren. And so that's another factor to think about. I would say that in terms of technology, I still believe, and maybe I'm naive when I say this, I still believe that technology can be a way in which people are able to pull themselves up and be creative and earn an income. But I would not deny anybody the opportunity to go to college if they want to go.
Right.
I will say that I am a beneficiary of going to college. Like Tamara, I am still in debt. We'll be in debt for some time. And the thing that I think most importantly, and I just want to say just briefly about my college experience. So originally, when I went to college, I went to be an athlete, stereotype. And I got injured. And after I got injured, there was no interest in me whatsoever. And so what I ended up doing was dropping out, and I went to work. And I went to work and I had various jobs and stuff like that. And I had a girlfriend whose mother worked I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, who worked for the city of Newark. And they had a program with training people in different skills. And if you wanted to learn how to do different things, carpentry, whatever. So I got in a program where I learned how to run a printing press. And um, in learning how to run a printing press, several years later, because of my calling in terms of ministry, there was a need for me to invest in being the best minister that I could be. And so consequently, did a little search, research. We didn't have computers at that time. That's how long ago it's been. And to make a long story short, I made the decision to leave Newark, go to Atlanta, go to the prestigious Morehouse College where Dr. King went. And so I went there, and just to say how naive and crazy I was, I went there without having applied to the college. Went to the college, went to the dean of the chapel, Lawrence Carter, who is the first dean of Morehouse College and chaplain. And I told him who I was, that I was there because of my desire to be the best trained minister that I could be. And he looked at me kind of crazy. And then I told him, I said, listen, if the school has a printing press, I'll work in the printing press room. That's how, that's what I'll do. He said, okay. He took me to the public relations office, talked
Such a
to
great
the
story.
director of the public relations office. I got, from there, I went to the financial aid office. I'm sorry, I went to admissions office, financial aid office, and in 3.5 years, I finished Morehouse College. But this is not that's not the most impressive thing. The most impressive thing I want you to know is that my college experience was so fantastic. It's really hard to describe, but I'm going to try to do it briefly. Every single week on Thursday, we had chapel. In that chapel, whatever positive image person that they could bring to the campus, they brought. The then mayor, Maynard Jackson, Andrew Young, leading pastor in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. You name the person, you name the person, you name a person of influence. Every single week, we got to experience a person who told us that we had value, that we were worth something, that it was important for us to think that there was nothing that we could not do. The reason that I tell you all of that is that I've internalized that. And I believe with all sincerity, there is nothing that I can't do with the help of God because of the experiences, part of the experiences that I had at Morehouse College.
Tony,
and there are those, let me just say this part, David. There are those who would say that Morehouse is the Harvard of the South. And I will say Morehouse, that Harvard is the Morehouse of the North.
So look, beautiful. I mean, just a magical recollection of your experience. And I got to come to Sky. The only thing I would say as you were talking about that, and someone of real prestige and value coming every week, I just kept thinking about the 7 different really prestigious, important people that I heard speak this week on Zoom and YouTube. And I didn't have to pay $25,000 a year. So, I'm not here really to debate. I mean, I kind of am, I guess, but I'm not really here to debate college or university. I'm here to challenge and ask, has technology changed the equation? Because the experience that you had at Morehouse, we can have very differently and in a much more accessible way today. But Sky, let me send it over to you.
The only issue, David, is that we're still in the environment where we have digital deserts.
No, that's absolutely true. Of course.
So it's still the same kind of thing that somebody is not going to have access to.
Absolutely.
And for many people, it's a passive experience. It's only a one-way watching experience. It's not an interacting
college is sometimes a passive experience also. If you're in a lecture hall with 300 people, it's incredibly passive. Go ahead, Sky.
And again, I'm going to continue to hold on to this. Are we buying the concept that technology is going to make everything easy, fast, and controllable? And I think that's the fallacy that I'm going to hang on to, that life, education, interactions is going to be hard, slow, and you are not going to have the control. And if you buy that, that's where the fallacy is. Now, the bubble that came to my mind was, fact check me if I'm wrong, but I believe Steve Jobs and Bill Gates neither finished college.
Correct.
Just saying that. I will give a short as best I can.
Did the Google guys finish? Sergey Brin, and I don't know if they did either.
They didn't have to, because they, in their dorm room, they met, I think, and created the search engine. But again, I'm seeing John Snyder, who I deeply respect because he has been through the educational system and processes. We, my wife and I, of 40 years, were in a organization doing theater, and we had training, but it was almost a trade school of the drama craft. We did our thing in a certain people group, Christian organized religion, their houses of worship, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, whenever we could do it. Coming out of that, my wife took the Myers-Briggs test that said, hey, you're going to be good as either a teacher or, Tony, a pastor. So she started going to formal education as with children. So she was juggling lots of things, then ended up going and furthering her education and getting her master's. So she got her Christian ed degree. Then she got her master's in teaching, because you had to have that certification to work inside of a public school system. And that's what I'm seeing the value of vetting people that don't have the skill, the knowledge, and I'm thinking of the 80% of the people that Lois is having to weed through on the YouTube, fire hose of information, that at least my wife has been vetted inside of a public school system. If that's the public way we're going to continue to have society learn techniques, technology, and especially if parents aren't going to be actively participating in their, unlike you, Dave, you are very active with your children's experiences. I believe that.
Me or the
But
other Dave?
David,
Me.
David.
Yeah, I'm engaged with them because I pay the bills.
I mean,
I think there's
Lois.
another point. There's another point that we're not talking about.
All right, and then I'm calling her to Lois and then Dave. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tony. Lois and then Tony.
I just want to say that when you lift up Bill Gates and
Steve Jobs,
they are not, I would say that they are not exception to the rule. But let's think about this. Bill Gates was at Harvard when he left, right?
He was.
Okay.
So let me give you all the rundown. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard University. Evan Williams dropped out of, he's the co-founder of Twitter, University of Nebraska. David Karp from Tumblr never went to college. Travis Kalanick from Uber dropped out of UCLA. Michael Dell from Dell Technologies dropped out. I mean, the list goes on.
They're making my point in that they were educated before they got their degrees. That is the point. And part of the reason that they were able to do what they did, their education process didn't start when they went to higher education. It didn't start when they went to high school. It started when their parents enriched their lives as very young people, and it continued throughout their lives. There are people who don't have the benefit of being able to provide the things that their children need so that the education that they receive in public schools can be supported. Again, it's important to understand that college does not mean that you are educated. It may mean that you're trained, but it does not necessarily mean that you are educated.
Fair enough.
And people have this idea that, now there are always exceptions to the rule, but all of those people who were lifted up, they were educated even before they went to college.
Well, they
were thinking outside of the box.
Right. Let me just say that and John is right. He's calling me out in the chat, and he's absolutely right that naming the top CEOs of companies who didn't go to college is not an accurate. That's absolutely true. I would argue that the most important thing that they had, beyond any education, was curiosity. Is that they were curious people. And they were driven people. That's what mattered the most. And I'm sorry, but that's not something that education, more often than not, beats that out of you rather than supporting it. Lois,
so
go
then
ahead.
the systems are.
Wait, I got to get Lois. Go ahead, Lois.
So I think we're differentiating between entrepreneurship and education. And I think they're two very different things. What I wanted to say is, from what we've said here today and the discussions we've had, it seems to me that the importance of going to college is not necessarily getting a degree, but it's the learning how to think, meeting other people, doing all those things that are extraneous to passing classes. So maybe what we should be focusing on here is getting more people into some college-like milieu, so that maybe it's a community college, maybe it's a city college, maybe it's some other program. It can be something that happens to you in high school, if you go to a high school where people teach you how to think, teach you how to work out problems. If you are in a family where that's part of your family, well, okay, that's great. But even if you're not, you can find people around you. And I think that's, as a community, as a society, I think that's what we need to do, is get those experiences aside from facts and somehow make them available to all the people.
Yeah. Dave, go ahead. By the way, let me just read what Roland
And
just
I
wrote.
can't hear you, David.
Ugh,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
so
that's
sorry.
'cause I'm not
Let me
saying
just read what
anything.
Roland just wrote, because it was just really beautiful. He says, my
Oh, it was
concern with
good.
higher education has become a paper chase rather than learning and expanding horizons. Absolutely, Roland. Sorry,
Yeah, I
Dave, go
agree.
for it. It's all you.
Yeah, love what Tony said, and his experience is very interesting. I agree with him that education doesn't make a person smart. My dad taught me that a long time ago. We had neighbors that were PhDs, and he turned to me and said, "You know, did you see what he did there? Yeah, it didn't seem pretty smart, did it?" And I said, "Well, he's PhD. Of course, he's smart." He goes, "No, he made a mistake there, but he doesn't know it yet." So, okay. My dad taught me to challenge authority and think for myself. And also, Buckminster Fuller taught me not to let other people do your thinking for you. So those are the control things that I always refer to, is that I can maintain control no matter what authority is facing me. This is why I blanch a little bit when you guys talk about your debt. I don't have a debt. My son went through engineering and he did 6 years in university, and he doesn't have a debt either, because we have college that's partially paid for. There are countries that it's free.
Right.
In Czechoslovakia or in some of the Scandinavian countries, it's free. Education is a right and not a commercial exercise. So I get back to my consumers of education thing. I may be the only person here that never went to university. Am I? I think I am. And I've been successful in my field, which is a trade, not a be the best expert, whatever. I'm just very talented at what I do, and I love working with tons of people like this. And this is what makes me happy, and I've been able to do what makes me happy the whole time. I did work 9 years at a university supporting the professors, and I admired every single one of them for the commitment they had to becoming the expert in their field and getting the PhD for having invented an idea nobody else had. That's how you get a PhD, is you come up with an idea and you follow it up and you prove it, and you get your PhD, because everybody says, yep, you're the only guy who knew that, and now everybody does. I think the respect and the humanity question here is very strong. We've devalued humans so much that we don't even think education matters. And that's really serious. If we want to look at technology and have it serve us instead of imprison us, then we have to take control back, and we have to be humans.
So
And if we learn to be humans with each other, we won't have stereotypes, we won't have division, and we will finally get to what we really should be doing, which we've got 3 religious people here, and 4 maybe, that are trying to make that happen. And
Dave, I want to take issue with what you just said, though. I don't think we're devaluing humanity. In fact, I would argue that if you look at what companies are looking for
you
now,
with 3 people going to college.
Well, wait a
they
second.
didn't give it to you. They enslaved you.
If you look at what companies are valuing now, what they're looking for those soft skills. They're looking for collaborative skills. They're looking for problem solving skills. They're looking for the skills that you can't learn, that you can practice in a university, but you can't learn them there necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the issue, and we've been sort of debating the value of college, which wasn't really where I wanted to go with this, but that's okay. What I think that where I come down on this is that I'm fine with college. I'm fine with university as a piece of the puzzle, as as one
Not an end in
ingredient
itself.
Right.
in
Yes, that's right.
There you
helping
go.
people grow and become their best selves. What we've done is we've put all of our eggs in a 4-year basket, and we've said,
Thank you.
I hope for the best, instead of realizing that maybe it should be 2 years or 1 year or 3 years. I don't know. I don't even care. But then there should also be elements of, I don't know, volunteerism to the community and elements of who knows what, and trade work. 96% of employers say a verified micro credential strengthens an application. Let's
But
focus
how
on
many of
micro
these employers
credentials.
are now not teaching skills? Because this is a real problem. Kids are coming in, and I have a group right now of very smart kids in varying degrees. Some went to college, some didn't, that are in my company. And they don't have those skills. And the goal of our company is actually to say, we're going to work with you every single week, and we want you to fail, and we're going to help you get those skills. Because 99% of the places that they go do not give them those skills anymore. We don't invest in people for 30 years. We don't invest in people for 3 weeks. So if we're not going to invest, it's not just about college, it's about how we are the whole of being a grown-up. People who are graduating right now are in such a difficult position because they're not getting things in college. They're not sure if they should get them. They're getting into the workforce, and the workforce is expecting them to have these high-level skills. If you look at an entry-level job posting, it's fascinating. It's entry level, but they want 3 to 5 years experience. So where are these poor kids getting this experience to learn how to do the things that you learn? When you're talking about soft skills, what we're saying then is, well, if you were born with soft skills, then, or you had someone teaching you, babies aren't born with soft skills. Children aren't born with soft skills. That is a learned thing. So we have to think about where we're going to get those skills. College may be one place. We need to rethink work. If the corporate environment is going to be one where you have to come in with 5 years experience, what about people who come in with 0 years experience? We aren't training people anymore. We're not investing in them. And that's, I think, to speak to Dave's point, we are devaluing humans across the board, in every single part of our society.
Except astronauts.
Sky, you
And
want to jump in?
this is where I want to just again lean into Dave's comment that was followed up by Tamara in the point of a community that believes in its people. And so, Dave, you said the word free. No, it's valued. Norway's got the highest tax on the income in many parts of the world, but they also have healthcare that is available to them. They also have education that is available to them.
And
So
childcare.
and childcare. So as a people group, they have decided their people are important. So consequently, that's why I'm going to only push back on you on that one word, the fallacy of the word free. So value is the
No,
thing I want
totally.
to
I get you there. Yeah, it isn't free.
Yeah, and
it's just
and
transferred. Yeah.
yeah, and again, Tamara, to your point about that generation that you are now dealing with, I'm listening to my wife, who's again coming home from second and third graders that were in COVID, the pre school kids that didn't get preschool, that were struggling at home, that were not socially interacting, and now that whole 2-year generation is coming up without a whole set of social interaction skills that I think is going to, we haven't seen trouble yet.
Correct.
Remedial kindergarten. That's what we need.
I want to go. I want to go.
I'd like to sign
Lois, I'll tell you,
up.
I've got
Learn not to bite other people.
I've got 120 preschoolers in this building during the day, and we are absolutely seeing that. Absolutely seeing that. Yeah.
I need you to do a study on that, Dave. Get your doctorate out of that question, and I think people will be beating your door down to learn the magic secret.
Or I could just do the work and not worry about the doctorate piece of paper.
Right.
Or just get AI to do it for you.
Or I could just get AI to do it for me. Lois, I'm giving you the last word.
So the last word is out there, the listeners who are listening to us, if anyone is, value yourself, learn how to learn. If you were to go and randomly open an encyclopedia, if anybody still has such a thing, and look at a question, figure out how you would go about finding the answer. And I don't mean asking AI what to do. I mean, figure out how to learn. And if you can do that, you will be far ahead. And then go next door and meet your neighbor. Or
Yeah.
go across the street and meet you. Or come over here and join our panel and meet all these strange people.
It's almost like I don't even have to host this show when Lois is here. I love it so much. I'm so grateful to all of you for hanging out with me on another Thursday night. For those of you who have not yet hung out with us, this is not, I love having everyone, but I especially love it when people kind of jump on and off, not because I don't want you here, but because I want other people to know that there's always room, that you're always welcome. If any of you would like to, John or Victor or Roland or Joe Kelly, anyone who wants to, Victor, I mean, if any of you would love to jump on, I'd love to have you, truly. Just reach out to me in Discord and I'll hook you up. But for now, I'm just really grateful to my friends Sky, Lois, Tony, Tamara, and Dave for being here. Have a lovely rest of your Thursday and a wonderful weekend, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.